him. So it was very difficult for us to give him this sad information that he has been died. So we got this information with regard to information from the Maha that Guru was elected as a Muslim. Then we got our children, especially young children, that this sad thing was happened. And now, Khalifa Muslim Saleh has, or God Almighty, has contacted to Muslim Saleh and sent back a new Khalifa in the name of Mirza Tahir Ahmad. First they were sad, they pleaded, they got the new Khalifa, new Huzur. The very first time Huzur arrived in England, the Khalifa Muslim, he is the boy who asked Huzur this question. He asked Huzur, from where did you come from? Huzur answered him, I come from Rabba, because Huzur didn't know what was his intention. But his intention was that, which he related to me.
Yes.
Daddy, you told me he comes from God Almighty. If he comes from God Almighty, he should be in the form of a baby. He is a grown-up handsome person. So this is his question.
Is it? Right. Everybody comes from God Almighty. You came from God Almighty, didn't you? And your father did? He's not a baby, is he? Why do you believe that he came from God while he's not a baby? He was a baby. So was I. So everybody is. Originally, yes. But later on you have to grow up naturally. So, can't help it. Yes, please. Now, just a minute. After Das Sahib, he has got his question reserved. And Bashir Sahib, we have not been given any chance so far. Most unfortunate.
Huzur, referring to the exodus of Muslims from Spain, it's rather strange that historical fact is that wherever Arabs went, they intermarried with the local people. We have got historical fact in Ceylon, in Sindh, and particularly in East Africa, where I'm interest myself really.
Yes, please, yes.
But the point remains that Muslim or Muslim Arabs, having lived in Spain for 700 years, did they remain as a colonial power?
No, they married extensively among the local people.
But then why it is so that they were driven out in such a way that not a single Muslim remained there, whereas in India and in Ceylon and in East Africa.
No, it took a process of 2 centuries, full 2 centuries, to extinguish the flame of Islam from Spain. And 200 years is not a small period. This concept that suddenly the sword swept out Islam and extended from Spain entirely is just a mythical concept. It is not a reality of history. The history tells us that even after the conquer of the Muslim, what they call Moorish Empire, the Muslims continued to live there, though falling under greater pressure and ever-increasing pressure, and they were kicked out ultimately to abandon certain areas and removed to certain other areas, and then invasion after invasion took place, and then changes in law were brought about, compelling people to accept a third-rate position or become Christian. So some were lured out, some were killed, some were driven to far-off places, mountains and so on, and the process which had started a bit earlier, but which became prominent during the end of the 12th century, 1290 or thereabout, was completed in the 15th century. End of the 13th century, it got completed in the 16th century, 1500 and some years. So for a succession of inimical governments, it's not difficult to wipe out a religion in more than 200 years. That is what happened there. And still you find descendants of the Muslims in Spain whose old associations are awakening now. When we send our Wafud Arzi, the temporary delegates of Ahmadi missionaries, they always write to me that they noticed a very strong sense of sympathy coming to surface, which was suppressed perhaps previously, among those Christian Spanish people who had the Muslim blood in them. And they even take pride. And they show certain articles in their homes. Sometimes when the Ahmadis are invited to their homes, and say that this is the most cherished inheritance we still retain from the old days. And their buildings, everything has a deep stamp of Islamic rule, in Andalusia in particular. So to say that everything has been completely wiped out and nothing is left, or as if things happen so dramatically that within an era of 2 or 3 years, the entire Muslim population was wiped out, this is wrong. This is only found in, novels or written by Naseem Hijazi and things, that all the Muslims are packed in a few ships and boats and they were sunk and finished. I mean, this is now how the people are eradicated. Yes, please.
While defending the institution of Khilafat Ahmadiyya, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih I has said, I'll quote in Urdu, that मुझे अल्लाह ताला ने खलीफा बनाया, मुझे खुदा ने खलीफा बनाया, मुझे खुदा ने खलीफा बना दिया है। अब ना मैं तुम्हारे कहने से माजूर हो सकता हूँ और ना तुम्हारे में तुम्हें से किसी में ताकत है कि वो मुझे माजूर करे। Then further said that अगर तुम ज्यादा जोर दोगे तो मेरे पास ऐसे खालिद वलीद हैं जो तुम्हें
सजा देंगे,
मुर्तदों की तरफ सजा देंगे।
So please what? Where is the question?
Yeah, my question is that how can we analyze the last part of this statement in the light of the Islamic thesis of no compulsion?
Exactly, this is a point which should be understood in the perspective of Ahmadiyya beliefs. We don't say that Murtadeen were killed and slaughtered. This is not our belief. So when an Ahmadiyya chief says Murtadon ki tarah saza denge, it doesn't mean the punishment which is meted out to Murtadeen by the mullahs, but the punishment which he believes was meted out to the renegades of the earlier days. That is, they were proved to be wrong categorically through the force of logic, and they were overwhelmed logically and with reason, so that they were not permitted to infiltrate the Muslim society because they got defeated. According to the terms of the Holy Quran, whoever is defeated with logic, it is he who is defeated roundly and finally. And who is killed by logic, and whoever is made to live by the force of logic, it is him who truly lives. This is a translation of the verse of the Holy Quran. So this is the Ahmadiyya belief. How can you attribute exactly the opposite belief to the Khalifa of Jamaat Ahmadiyya by interpreting his words Murtadon ki tarah saza denge in the sense of a mullah using the same words? It was Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, not an ordinary Maulvi who was saying this. And that is how the punishment was meted out to them ultimately by Muslim mouth. Not that they were killed.